Cool hat there, Chad. Cool hat. Wonder where you got it.
Where could I have gotten this hat? Hello, everyone.
Night
Hello. Night
Everyone,
eight.
welcome to
Eight.
Hoppy Hanukkah, presented by Bruvana.com. My name is Todd Summers.
And I am Chad Brodsky, and we will be your Jewish drinking buddies tonight. And then until next year. That's it. I can't believe it's over.
Tough. So, being that I guess it's night 8, we should open our night 8 beers. Chad, you probably already did, just judging by
my box is just like a mess.
I feel
now.
bad for like the fulfillment team that put these together based on like what I've
They
done
look
to it
so
since
nice.
it's come to my care. What do
They
we have
look
as
so
our gift
nice?
tonight?
Oh, where did you get that hat from?
I took it off my beer. Oh, now we match. I'll take the tag off.
I already took the tag off. I wanted to do that not on the.
I have a very big head, so this is sort of tricky for me. Okay, this is warm.
It is
Someone said
warm.
they're from Georgia. Do you need these kind of hats in Georgia? Laura, I think it was Laura. Yeah, Laura. Do you wear these kinds? I don't know. I truly
love
don't know.
that people are wearing their hats when they don't have to at home, which is awesome.
We have here a pale ale.
This is a great
pale
beer
ale.
to finish the 8 nights off with. I'm very excited. Mine's so cold though because I forgot to put it in the fridge until a half hour ago, and like you can't chill something that quickly. But so know what I did? Do you know what I did? I'm curious, Todd. Let's see how good your
Did you wrap? Did you get a paper towel wet and put the paper towel around the beer and put it in the freezer?
I did indeed, and this beer is so cold right now. But so if anyone's never heard that hack before, that is a go-to hack to chill your beer very quickly.
This spent about 22 hours in a Vermont garage, and it is borderline frozen. So let's do it.
Oh,
Smells like a pale ale. It's from this tiny little hole. Chad, I've got an OG glass. I'm excited to show off. You might recognize it.
I have so many Bruvana glasses now. That's like essentially all I have.
That's like the owner of McDonald's being like, oh, so many McDonald's cups in my house. Check this one out.
Why would someone have McDonald's? Oh, that's
owner.
like old school city brew tours glass. I love it.
Legend of Zelda glass.
Oh, the glasses have always still been same. This one looks similar colors.
Yeah, we had goofy lighting night 1, I think, or night 2.
What was that? That was the barley wine.
Yeah, we had 2.
That barley wine looked so different. Do you believe that was 7 nights ago? It feels like yesterday.
It does, but I'm also tired, Chad.
I'm tired.
You're a night owl. I'm not a night owl. We should
not
do this
anymore.
6 a.m. next year.
Shy wants more jar glasses. I do. You can get a lot of jar glasses just by going and buying jars. Just get a lot of delicious.
This is delicious. So, Good People Brewing Company Pale Ale. Something for me personally is I love when breweries name their beers the style. So
that is so
Good People Brewing Company Pale Ale, Good Brewing Company IPA. It's always a treat for me. So what do we?
This is their flagship. This is their flagship beer. So,
and you heard a rumor that this was the most popular craft beer in Alabama. We weren't able to confirm it though.
I heard it from the owner, Michael Sellers. So I don't know if that is, if that counts, but I could see if it's their flagship beer. Good People is one of the oldest breweries in Alabama. They're also the largest brewery in Alabama. So all of those things do coincide with making sense. And craft beer is kind of just starting to explode in Alabama. So I think there's I think it's true.
And it's
Also got like an
interesting that
85 or 90 on in certain rankings. So it's ranked very high as well.
I love that. And real quickly, I'm gonna do the housekeeping just because it's the last night.
Do it.
Real quickly, everyone knows at this point, Q&A are for your questions. Chat is for banter. Make sure that you're sending those messages to everyone and not just the hosts and panelists. And at the end of the show, we're going to put a link to a real quick survey we would love everyone to take. Really helpful for us so we can sort of understand, basically like one, so Chad and I can be like, wow, look at how much people like this, but also just so we understand sort of you a little more. And then we're also, since you're here with us, we're going to put in a code for 15% off next year's box. So
Get it now.
Yeah, if you get it now. Back to this beer. Birmingham, Alabama. So far, kind of not necessarily our like down our beaten path of areas we would expand to. So what's our Alabama connection, Chad? It's interesting. We have a couple things going on there.
Yeah, so Birmingham, so like we like to find like the hidden gem of cities that with craft beer kind of exploding. We're in over 15 plus cities, and one of those as of November is Birmingham, Alabama. We signed a franchise in Birmingham. Birmingham has an incredible craft beer scene that's just really kind of exploding right now.
Shout out to Scotty and Dustin.
Yes, and so perfect example is here's a beer from Birmingham, Alabama. You can only get it pretty much within Birmingham, like Alabama, Tennessee, kind of that southeast area of the country. And we were able to kind of showcase how good the beer is that it's coming out of there. But Birmingham is, so we have a tour in there. And we also just featured Birmingham on our Bruiseless Travel Beer Club. And so for people that aren't familiar with the beer club, picture Hanukkah, but every month and every week. And so what Bruiseless Travel Beer Club is essentially every month, we feature a new city, an undiscovered craft beer city each month. And every week, every Wednesday night, there's actually a virtual tasting. So you get eight different beers from 4 of the best breweries that we've actually sent secret shoppers to. And Molly, our host, is awesome. And
if you can't make the live stream, we release it as a podcast.
And it's recorded too. So you can listen to the podcast if you want to wait a week, or you can just watch the recording if you missed it on Wednesday. So definitely, so Birmingham was one of our featured cities. December is Houston. So you kind of get an idea. It's a craft beer road trip without leaving your house.
That's really, really cool. And so what do we think of, I want to talk a little bit about pale ales, because I think we've had some kind of like far ends of the extreme styles. We had a 10% double IPA. We had a barley wine. Oatmeal stouts we had an interesting oatmeal stout. What pale ales, I wouldn't say this is a far end of the spectrum beer. So what are noteworthy features of a pale ale? What makes this such a, in my opinion, drinkable beer? Like I could drink this.
Pale ales are not
by the dozen.
Sexy. You don't hear people lining up for pale ales. They're not like the go-to beer, but when they're made well, they are a delicious go-to. So with the pale ale, I'm kind of looking for some hop backbone, some malt backbone, but not overly hoppy and not super bitter. So a pale ale is kind of like the precursor of your IPA.
And from a color perspective, what should we be looking at from a color perspective?
I mean, pale ales can be they can range, but this is a nice color pale ale.
Yeah, it's like that strawy color. So Chad, we're night 8. We have no more nights of Hanukkah this year.
No more nights. It's over.
What are we doing tonight? What's our plan? What are we going to do?
So we got a special guest. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Rabbi Sruli Baron. He also has the Craft Beer Rabbi Instagram as well. And so I met Sruli at a distillery. And so that kind of gives you an idea of who he is. And here we have, here's the man. I like your hat, sir.
Nice hat.
Thank you.
Nice hat.
Thanks for this hat.
Where'd you get such a cool hat?
I came with this beer that I got tonight. This delicious pale ale. L'chaim. Cheers.
L'chaim, truly.
Clink.
So we thought we'd start off something like very, very nice and light. And so we're going to talk about very broadly Judaism in America and your experience of being a rabbi. So, very everyday stuff. So when we were, getting excited about having you on, we were talking about how there are a lot of different ways to be Jewish in America. When I went on Birthright in Israel, it seems like you could sort of be secular or non-secular. In America, conservative, reform, Orthodox, Reconstructionist. Like me, when someone asks, I just sort of say I'm Jewish. My sister literally just bought me a cookbook for Hanukkah, and it's called Jew-ish. Like, not kidding. Also, the author has the same name as her husband, which is crazy. And so, like, a lot of different ways to be Jewish in America. And so, how does that affect your work? What's it like as a rabbi in America with all of that going on?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, my rabbi, the leader of the Chabad Hasidic movement, once remarked that labels are for clothing, and he was what you might call like post-denominational in his view of the Jewish landscape. What he was looking for was Jewish engagement across the board, wherever you're at, however you're doing it, just to try to do a little bit more. Reform, conservative, Reconstructionist, believing, non-believing. There's some part of us that says, I'm Jewish, and we can't always define it. But the Chabad movement is trying to drill to the core of that, and that's a lot of the work that I do as a rabbi, is meeting people where they are. That being said, I am Orthodox in my own life and observance. My synagogue is Orthodox. What I like to say is that we're very Orthodox, but with very unorthodox packaging. So that lends to the broad appeal for Chabad in America these days. But yeah, that's.
So I had a rabbi on my birthright trip. He said it. I did a Chabad birthright trip because I wanted the most Jewish experience in Israel. And he was like, a tree is a tree, a Jew is a Jew. It doesn't matter what else. It doesn't matter any other kind of things. You don't look at that tree and be like, that might not be a tree. You kind of know that's a tree. And the same thing, a Jew, doesn't matter where you are, you're still a Jew. Even if you don't think you're a Jew, you still be a Jew.
And truly to your answer is, might I offer that you don't always have to practice what you preach? Sorry, I couldn't help myself from getting that. But it sounds like you sort of, like you say, you meet people where they're at, which, like, if you're talking to someone who might not be Orthodox, you might be responding to them in a different way than if it was someone who was a member of your synagogue. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it's there's a balance. There's what I take, for example, driving on the Sabbath, right? So I don't drive on the Sabbath. I walk to shul, and many people drive to my shul, but I tell them, like, I don't ask you how you got here. As far as I know, you walked in the door, so you walk to shul. Maybe you walk from the car, maybe you walk from home. I wouldn't say that we don't hold importance to the traditions and to Orthodox observance. We would never condone necessarily or encourage someone to, transgress a commandment or, not follow. The main thing is that we try to focus on what they are doing rather than what they're not doing. Does that kind of make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's really interesting. So this is an actually much lighter question. I was being very facetious with the first question. So you live, correct, you're in just outside of Boston, Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And it has a great nickname, the Fermentation District. So why do they call it the Fermentation District? Is it because you live there?
I think, yeah, it's a nice way to look at it. But I think, I came up with the Instagram handle Craft Beer Rabbi and started really getting into it when I moved here, because there are so many breweries and distilleries just within a couple of square miles. So I guess I was lucky to be posted as a rabbi in a synagogue here. Yeah, it's a really exciting area just north of Boston. There are 5-10 breweries just like within a couple square miles of my house. So it's got that nickname. Oh, and distilleries. So it's got the name, the Fermentation District. It's a fun place to be. Yeah.
Favorite?
Okay, so
what are some of the breweries? Before you get into the favorite, what are first of all, Renan said Short Path.
Renan knows.
I met Sruli at a Purim party at Short Path Distillery.
Yep.
Great place on our
That's
Boston tours. So yeah, what are some of the breweries in this fermentation district, just for the people that aren't in the Boston area?
Yeah, so Night Shift is a big one. You have Idle Hands, you have Bone Up, you have Aeronaut has a tap room and cannery in Everett. You have, on the Somerville, Cambridge side, you have, Lamplighter. You have in Woburn, you have Hobo, Lord Hobo.
So many.
Yeah,
there's so many breweries. It's such a cool place. So
it's really awesome.
Back to Todd's question. Favorite brewery in the fermentation district?
Okay. So I would have to say, to give it the favorite title, I'd have to drink a lot of their beer, and Lord Hobo, definitely. I'm drinking their boom sauce like every Shabbos. It's a great.
That's a big beer. That's
is
a big
beer
beer for a like. How many boom sauces are you having on a Shabbos?
Well, as an Orthodox Jew, I don't drive on Shabbos, so that helps.
You can have as many as you want, Chad.
As many as I want.
Well,
You
how
don't
many
make
would I
rules.
have, Todd? How many boom sauces could I actually physically have? Maybe one.
One.
Where's my 10%? Whatever double IPA. This was 10%ers, truly. Did you get into this one yet?
I did.
That one?
I did. That was, out of this whole box, I'd have to say that one. I like a big beer. I guess that's what it boils down to. So that
We got
Ghost,
those in there.
yeah, the Epic Brewing. That was an epic beer.
It was.
Love that one. Favorite tap room experience though, Night Shift. I'm there too much.
It's really cool. There's always dogs there, which is great. I like that. It's like a craft beer thing.
So Renan, there's something mentioned CrossFit. I want to just bring this up. I do CrossFit, doesn't matter. Renan though, Renan just said there's a CrossFit area. What, Todd?
I was going to say, I can't believe it took you until night 8 to mention you did CrossFit.
So Sruli is an avid CrossFitter, and he wanted I'm going to just say Sruli because I know you and you're my friend, but truly wanted the CrossFit Rabbi handle, and it was taken, and beer was like the next best, like his next favorite hobby. So that's how he became honestly, you should have just did like CrossFit Beer Rabbi, Craft Beer Rabbi. It would have been much longer, but you could have expanded to a bigger audience. But just someone mentioned CrossFit.
Yeah, but if
and it wasn't a plan.
To post it's easier to make beer posts than it is to post my workouts. I would never post my workouts on Instagram.
Fair enough.
Someone, Craig just sent this. Craig switched to in the chat, switch it to everyone. But Craig just messaged host and panelists, and he said the CrossFit Rabbi is a beast, which is a direct quote from Sruli pre-show.
Yes. Yeah, Craig is a friend of mine also, and a CrossFit coach. There's got to be like, I think like CrossFit and craft beer lay somewhat well. They intersect a lot. The CrossFit gym where I work out is like right around the corner. Is in the Fermentation District. Like it's all kind of mixed up over there. So
that's awesome.
All right, I got another question. So being Jewish, we're brought together by food and drink, as we are all here. Last night, you guys all enjoyed a dinner with us as we paired all of our beers. So like food and drink is like very important in Jewish tradition. And I want to know, why are there so many l'chaims during Jewish holidays? Like in Passover, we're required to drink, was it 5 glasses of wine, I think, per room? It's like a mitzvah to drink alcohol. Sukkot, that's usually when people are asking us for beer. 4, Alan in the chat corrected me. It's 4 glasses. I'm sorry. But yeah, so
you drink Elijah's cup too. That's the thing.
Shh, no one's supposed to know that. So the question is, why are there so like, what's the deal with like Judaism?
How did we get so lucky?
Yeah, how do we get so lucky? That's a great way to put it, Todd.
Yeah, that's another great question. And just a note that these traditions stretch back thousands of years, but we start and end the Shabbat, the Sabbath, every Friday night at sundown with Kiddush on a glass of wine, and we close out the Shabbat with a glass of wine for Havdalah. There's a lot of alcohol in Jewish tradition. Jewish tradition also demands moderation, which is an important point to mention. Required is a big word. There are always non-alcoholic options, usually, grape derivatives like grape juice or something like that, for people who want to practice moderation or who struggle with excess. So that's just one good thing to note. But those who do partake of beer and alcohol and wine and l'chaims, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to celebrate the holiday. One core component of every holiday is coming together with friends, with family members, and there's that social component. There's a very special glue that kind of brings people together, and alcohol can serve as an effective tool in that direction, to really break down the barriers, lower the inhibitions, and allow you to connect on a deep, soulful level with whoever you're celebrating with. So it's like partying, yeah, but partying with a purpose.
I like that, partying with a purpose. That is a great tagline. I don't know what is the tagline for, but it is a great tagline. On tours, we say social lubrication. It just provides that social lubrication.
Yeah, it's, and I think it's interesting because like, I think there's such a great, like a large tie, like sort of when you're making connections between religion and community, and like in any community, like there's always some, like alcohol, like it exists in so many communal events, like sort of, I think cross-culturally, cross religions. So it's not surprising that it's Judaism, but it's also interesting that you said, that there are non-alcoholic options and ways to sort of get around it, which is like, now I think it's always been important, but it's great to hear that it's like inclusive these days.
Yeah.
So my favorite number is 3. So my favorite night of Hanukkah is the third night of Hanukkah. It's Babe Ruth was number 3. I think I learned that when I was like a little kid, so I like the number 3. Do you have a favorite night of Hanukkah?
I do, and at risk of of this is the eighth night, but before it was the eighth night, I still looked forward to the eighth night because it's my favorite night of Hanukkah.
And you were going to see Chad.
Because of
What?
us, right? Because
Because you were
beer,
gonna see the two
you
of us.
getting a
Yes.
hat.
Yeah.
And it's just kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously, why
That's
is the
reason
eighth
number
night?
3.
You're
So there's just seeing the whole menorah, the whole candelabra lit up with all 8 candles, there's something special to that site. It feels like the completeness is kind of begging itself throughout the whole Hanukkah. There's 8 branches. Why don't you light 8 candles? So it's kind of like there's this anticipation and this build up to that moment. But drawing on the Kabbalistic mystical tradition within Judaism, there's 2 kind of paradigms. There's the material physical paradigm, and then there's like the spiritual otherworldly paradigm, and they're represented respectively by the numbers 7 and 8. So 7 is indicative of the natural world. You have 7 continents, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 musical notes. You have the number 7 popping up all throughout the natural world. So in Kabbalistic mystical thought, that represents the natural order of things, like day-to-day life. And then the number 8 is you have that in many Jewish holidays. They go on for 8 days. The number 8 is significant because it represents kind of transcending that. And when you talk about Hanukkah, the light of the menorah being our commitment to bringing light to the world, bringing goodness and warmth, acts of goodness and kindness, a commitment to the betterment of the world around us. Well, you can go about that in 2 ways. You can go about that doing, what's easy or comfortable, and that's good. Like, I'm all for that. Like, do good for whatever reason, but it remains like limited. If we're going to make like a big difference in the world, we need to be daring. We need to kind of transcend what we think is possible. And that's number 8. That's where we say, like, let's go nuts. Let's go crazy when it comes to acts of goodness and kindness, to making the world better. So that's why the night number 8 is significant for me, and the work that I do and the work that I try to inspire people to do. I'm all about night number 8.
I love that. That's so cool. I didn't know. That was so interesting first that 7 does. There's so many times 7 appears throughout like the natural world. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
This might be a slightly less deep answer, but we had a big heated debate last night in the chat over balaka and toppings specifically. And I think you can give maybe a more definitive answer. I don't know, but applesauce or sour cream,
or other. There could be other.
Nah,
people may have.
That was just your brother.
No, I'm gonna go other. I mean, if I have to choose between applesauce and sour cream, if I have to choose applesauce and sour cream, never, bro.
See, 100% agree, Really. Todd likes both of them, and there's other people also that like both of them. So
there's a saying in Hebrew, al tam v'reach ein lehitvakeach, which rhymes in Hebrew. In English, it's like, don't argue about entirely subjective experiences. Don't seek a definitive answer. That's the point of it. But in my world, you have applesauce or sour cream, never together. If I had to choose one to eat for the rest of my life, it'd be sour cream. And if I got to choose another option, it'd be mustard. Unpopular opinion, but
mustard.
Mustard.
That's on the knish. I feel like mustard's is
well,
the
knish. Potato-y goodness with the mustard.
What does the chat
like
think
yellow
about
mustard?
That's yellow mustard, yeah.
Mustard.
Yellow mustard, or
I love yellow mustard. You might have just changed my life.
Maybe. You let me know after you taste it.
What I'm curious, has the chat experienced the mustard on their latkes? We went from real deep to like the exact opposite of what
I also
you
like
possibly
that.
could talk
I
about.
also like that you busted
Rachel
out some
says
very.
in the chat, says never. Craig,
Yeah.
no mustard.
No
I would
mustard.
get down with mustard.
What were you saying, Todd? Sorry.
I think it's great that he gave this very rabbinical answer. He was like, don't don't argue over subjective experiences. However, you can get a sour cream. Like it's sour cream. Like people who have to get the applesauce people out of my face.
Andrea in the chat says spicy brown is good. So there are people that
I'll have to try
are
that.
down with mustard, I guess it sounds like.
There was a bunch of no mustards first. Now you see honey mustard.
People are
They
kind
keep
of they're coming around. They're like mustard conditions. Like they're starting to, I guess, see that line of thinking. Jeff's still nope. No mustard.
All right, let's get into the craft beer Rabbi part of this. We've gotten a lot of Rabbi, but I want to mix in the craft beer. And I know you said you like the Epic because we brought it up earlier. So we're gonna strike the Epic beer from the record. But I know you have the box. Did you have a favorite? What'd you like about it?
Ooh, so
the Epic, you can be the Epic.
Well, the Epic just kind of spoke to that the big beer, the 10% double IPA, double hop. But that the black ale from Uinta, the Ba. So that was super I was into that. That was super dark and roasty. Not what it was kind of out of my comfort zone. But gave me a lot of new flavors to chew on. That was fun. Yeah. I guess that's kind of the cool thing about this box is getting the spectrum, seeing a lot of different things.
Yeah. I think Uinta distribution does make it to the Boston area. I think there's a liquor store in maybe Medford that I know has it. What are you trying?
I wish this was a 16-ounce can. I want more of this pale ale, and it's empty.
You already drank it?
Of course, I already drank it. It was delicious.
Yeah,
Baba Lager though, the Baba Black Lager was delicious. Truly, I agree.
All right, Cerulli, we appreciate your time. We have one sort of final question, and I think this is your probably a great opportunity for you to wax as poetic as you'd like. But what's your favorite? And it's super open ended. But what's your favorite part about being a rabbi? What excites you? What motivates you?
It's I guess not every rabbi is as lucky as me to be in a very I think it's a fairly unique space where I interact with the full spectrum of Jewish observance and every age on that spectrum. I go from this morning running a Hanukkah program for little kids. I'm talking kindergartners and first graders. To doing a public menorah lighting with mostly adults, to doing a Torah class with young professionals. That's a large demographic that I work with, and kind of being able to relate to all these kind of different people, various stages in life, various stages on their religious journey, is incredibly enriching. And again, like we spoke earlier, it's trying to meet people where they are, connect to people, really understand their journey, to really try to help them at that point, actualize their Jewish experience at whatever stage they are. So that's definitely extremely rewarding, being able to interact with people in deep, heartfelt relationships. Yeah, and I don't take that for granted. Some rabbis are are pigeonholed in like a pulpit where they're just mainly doing weddings and funerals and sermons on Shabbat. Hanukkah has just been crazy. We did events every night, all 8 nights, for various different age groups and everything like that. I'm exhausted, but the best kind of exhausted, and that's kind of what Yeah. Kind of like you guys doing beer tastings every night.
We've been doing events every single night.
I'm happy you compared our work, so I didn't have to do it. But yeah, I mean, it's something Chad and I love doing, so it energizes us while we're doing it. But it also, you're doing something that is inherently tiring. Awesome, truly one of a kind.
Thank you.
Chat,
so appreciative.
We have a question from the chat. It's this is a sort of I think we're going to give this to Chad. So Laura, and I think this has been asked a couple of times, but how did we decide what went into the box, Chad?
So Laura, that's a great question. It's kind of it really depends. So we look for Jewish brewers. So we look for breweries that have some component of Judaism. I already found a lot more Jews for next year, so I'm very excited. There's definitely going to be some very good beer that I had no idea that the founders were Jewish. So very excited for next year because we're going to have even more beer from Jews that we haven't actually had beer from in the past 2 years. And then we look for beers that we talked about kosher beers and so we look for breweries that are not using any adjuncts. So that would be kind of like
beer nerd word.
Beers that are using certain clarifying agents or certain fruits and things that would make it not kosher, because we want these beers to be kind of in that Reinheitsgebot, which is the German beer purity law. No oyster stouts, yeah. So unfortunately, unless we get a brewery, sours are probably not going to be in these boxes, because we try to appeal to, as we talked about, all the different types of Judaism out there to be able to experience these boxes. And so as our Brewers Less Travel Beer Club, when we go into these different cities, we're also finding out all these different breweries that are in different cities and places. So that's how Birmingham got into this box as well. Are there any other questions? Because this is the last night. So, and if they're not, I think I hope everyone had
time to say goodbye.
I think it's time to, say our
till next year.
Goodbyes. It's sad.
This is going directly to the dry cleaner, which is the top of my closet, and folded up until next year.
If you guys want to continue, so obviously you're all Jewish, but we do have a Christmas box that does this for another 12 nights. So that is an option as well. Who's going to host the virtual tastings for the Brewers Less Travel boxes? So we already have our host, Molly. Yeah, she's awesome. So that's something that's been going on for the past 6 months. So we've featured cities like Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, December's Houston, Birmingham, Alabama, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yep.
Where else have we gone? Bunch of places. What are the outfits for next year? Probably this.
This is, we are very committed to these. I got mine tailored, so I have to keep wearing it.
There's a survey. Kate,
Kate is going to post the survey.
Please take this survey. We were going to give away a Hanukkah box to one of the survey participants. So you can win a free Hanukkah box by just taking this survey. We would really appreciate that. It lets us know, again, what Todd said, how we're doing, stuff like that, and also be able to win a free Hanukkah box for next year.
And if you're ever in one of our cities, take a tour. It's great. Last year this was sort of a new concept that was sprung from COVID. It existed this year because of how much fun we had last year, and it'll be the same thing next year. So we very much appreciate you all for not only buying a box, but showing up each night to hang out with us.
One more plug. If you like the drinking of the beer, we have the beer making kits. We mentioned them, I think, with Lisa. And so you can do our beer making kit experiences as well through Bruvana, where you actually can learn how to make beer. We already know it's the best third date option for anyone out there that's single and trying to woo their a Jewish lady, and
it
for
buys
my-
you a few weeks afterwards because you have to wait for it to ferment.
Exactly, and it includes a Zoom class. So that is our beer making class. But yeah, that's all we got. Todd,
Thank you so much.
thank you everyone for joining us for the past 7 or 8 nights, and it's been a blast.
Chad, you're a lovely host. Pleasure to do it
Did
with
we?
you.
Did we?
Oh,
I don't know
promo
if you
code.
guys.
The promo code.
Promo code for the 15% off.
That would have been
And
so bad. Hanukkah 22.
would have been bad.
With spelled
That
with
would
an
have been real
H
bad.
as the first letter, not a C. H first letter, not a C.